is played in many levels of sport in Malaysia. So, what is javelin throw? In this video, we will present to you some information about the sport and how it is played. This video is particularly useful for future teachers who will take part in organizing the school cohort. Before we begin, let me introduce our group members involved in this video. Our group consists of 7 members. Mawadah binti Faisal, Siti Rohayu binti Samad, Nurul Husna binti Muhammad Nasir, Nur Nabilah binti Muhammad Said, Nur Aimi Atira binti Miss Zaini, Hanis Amira binti Ramli, and lastly, I'm Narisha binti Benhar. So, without waiting any further, we will start with a brief introduction to javelin throw.
The javelin is a sport that is the descendant of the many forms of competitions contested in various parts of the ancient world that involve the throwing of a projectile. It is governed by the umbrella track and field body, named the International Amateur Athletics Federation (IAAF). Other than that, the javelin is an event separately contested by men and women. Javelin competitions are a part of the National Collegiate Athletic Association (NCAA) annual track and field championships. The projectile used in javelin consists of 3 distinct parts, which are the head, constructed from a lightweight metal, the shaft, made from carbon fiber or other composite synthetic materials, and the grip, the portion of the javelin where the object is held by the thrower prior to delivery. The standard weight of javelin as prescribed by the rules of the IAAF is 800 gram or 1.76 pounds for men and 600 gram or 1.32 pounds for women. Meanwhile, the overall length must be at least 260 cm or 102 and 4 inches for men and minimum 220 cm or 86.6 inches for women. Throwing the javelin as a sport evolved from the everyday use of the spear in hunting and warfare. European athletes have historically dominated the men's event, particularly from the Scandinavian countries. However, Trinidad junior Kejorn Walcott caused a sensation at the London 2012 Olympic Games when he became the first man from outside Europe to win an Olympic medal since 1972 and only the second non-European Olympic champion.
So, that were some of the information that we provide to you as an introduction to javelin throw. In the next part of the video, we will show the techniques and side activity that can be implemented by educators in introducing the students to this sport. So, without further ado, let's move to the next part of the video.
Hello and Assalamualaikum. My name is Teacher Husna. So before we start our activity, we should do some warming up. Because warming up helps prepare your body for activity and also reduce muscle soreness and lessen your risk of injury. Okay, now I will demonstrate to you guys and then you guys can follow me.
And I wonder why I tear myself down to be built back up again. Oh, I hope somehow I'll wake up young again. All that's left of myself, holes in my false confidence. And now I lay myself down and hope I wake up young again.
Okay, now we play just a small game before we start our activity. This game called a tunnel ball. First, do a line, one facing to make a tunnel, and then you guys just facing the ball to your other members. From this, you guys can strain your hand muscles and also gain your focus on your game. So, let me start.
Assalamualaikum, I am teacher Mawadah. So today, I will brief to all of you about the introduction and history to Javelin. First of all, I would like to ask of you to gather in front of me in the semicircular position. Thank you. Okay. So, students, here in front of me, there's 3 pictures of athlete of javelin throw. First, Muhammad Aziz Imran. Second, Thomas Rohler. And third, Johannes Vetter. I would like to ask, did you know 3 of them? So now we move on to intro to history of javelin. Javelin was governed by the umbrella track and field body, the International Amateur Athletics Federation (IAAF), and is an event that separates men and women competition. Javelin also consists of 3 distinct parts, which are the head, the shaft shape, and the grid. The standard weight of javelin is 1.76 pounds, about 800 grams for men, and 1.32 pounds, about 600 grams for women.
The javelin throw facilities includes a runway, a throwing arc, and a landing setter. Since the length of the runway exceeds the space available in the segment, it is usually extended across the track and track border. It is necessary to have a removable curb, and the height of the surfaces of the overlapped track and the segment must be the same along the track border. For a runway in any segment, the landing setter is located in the grass area inside the track. The runway is 30 meter minimum long and measured from the beginning of the runway to rear edge of the side markings outside the runway at the same level as the throwing arc. It is marked by 2 parallel white lines, 0.05 meter wide and 4 meter apart. The runway is covered with the same surface as the track. For the throwing arc is situated at the end of the runway. It is painted or made of wood, 3 to 5 weatherproof bonded layers, or a suitable non-corrodible material like plastic. If not marked with paint, it must be installed flush with the surface of the runway. The throwing arc is 0.07 meter wide and curved with a radius of 8 meter from the center point in the middle of the runway in the throwing direction. It is advisable that the center point is marked with a synthetic cloth of a different color to the surface, with a diameter and surface thickness of 20 mm to 30 mm. Lines are drawn from the extremities of the arc at right angles to the parallel lines marking the runway. These lines are wide, 0.75 meter in length and 0.07 meter wide. Landing sector. The sector lines are laid from the center point on the runway through the cross points of the throwing arc and the lines of the runway. The length of the sector is 100 meter. At this distance, the inner edges of the sector lines are 50 meter apart. The marking of the sector line extends to a distance appropriate to the competitor.
Assalamualaikum everyone. I'm teacher Nabila and now I will explain and demonstrate to you on how to play javelin. Okay, first of all, I want all of you to sit in a semicircle position, okay? Okay, now I will explain to you about the first step, which is about the grip. Okay, you need to remember that the javelin or the equipment need to be held at the back of the grip along the palm, and the fingers need to be firmly around the implement with at least one finger behind the binding like this. Okay, now we move to the step 2, which is standing throw. Okay, first of all, your feet need to be parallel with shoulder width apart, and then the toes need to be pointed at the target and the body square to the target. Okay, and the javelin is held directly above the head or throwing arm shoulder with arm bent and elbow forward. And then the tip of the javelin or the equipment and the non-throwing hand need to be pointed directly to the target. Okay, from here the javelin or the equipment is thrown in a straight line at the target, and the release of the javelin from the fingers should cause the javelin to rotate clockwise for a right-hander to create a stability in flight. Okay, and then the tip of the javelin need to always be pointing at the target throughout the entire action. And the throwing action is a pulling action, not a pushing action. And then allow a slight withdrawal from the javelin as long as the javelin remains pointing at the target during the withdrawal. Okay, now we move to the next step, which is step and throw. First of all, you need to start in the standing preparatory position as I mentioned before. And then keeping the javelin back close to the head, you need to slightly withdraw the javelin by extending the throwing arm back. And then holding the arm back, you need to step forward onto the foot opposite to the throwing arm. For example, if you are right-handed, then you need to step forward your left foot. And then throw the implement or the equipment at the target by pulling it forward in a smooth action. And then you need to remember that the javelin should be held back and not be pulled forward until the front foot is firmly planted on the ground. And then make sure both of your feet are pointed at the target. Okay, now we move to the walk and throw step. Okay, first of all, you need to start in the standing preparatory position as usual, and then keeping the arm back close to the head, you need to slightly withdraw the javelin by extending the throwing arm back, and then holding the arm back at the javelin level and pointed forward, you need to begin a walking approach by 3 to 5 steps, and then stepping onto the foot opposite to the throwing arm. Pull the javelin through to release it, and then emphasizes on the control of the javelin during the approach and the delivery. Okay, my students, now we move to the next step, which is withdraw and throw. Okay, begin as the standing throw position and then turn your shoulder 90 degrees away from the direction of the throw, and then extend your throwing arm back so that the hand is higher than the elbow, and the elbow is at level or higher than the shoulder. And then the palm of your throwing hand need to be under the javelin and pointing at the sky, and hold the javelin level along the throwing arm, and the tip is pointing forward at approximately eye level. And in a smooth continuous action, the javelin is pulled forward and thrown over the shoulder in a tennis serve-like action. Okay, now we move to the last step, which is front and throw. First of all, a right-handed thrower will stand with the right foot forward and the right arm back, holding the javelin. And the 3 steps consist of a first step onto the left foot and a low jump onto the right foot and a final quick step onto the left foot into a throwing stance before pulling the javelin through. That's all. So you have learned all the theory and step of javelin throw. So now it is your turn to do the practical.
Hello my students, I am teacher Ayu. So now we will play the small game I have chosen, which is throw paper plane. So now please gather in front of me in semicircle position. Okay, now I will give you this A4 paper, so we will make a paper plane together. So please sit in distance. And then I will explain to all of you how we're gonna play this game, okay? Okay, before we start the game, make sure you all open your legs slightly like this. And place your right foot to behind and your left foot forward, and then tilt your body slightly to the side and hold your paper plane like this. Okay. So, the purposes of this activity is to develop the coordination in hand and arm, and it also to develop a straight or down the pipe release of javelin while incorporating more body coordination.
Javelin. So let's do a cool down. So now we will start from the lower of the part of the body and then followed by the upper part of the body. So now first you stretch your right leg forward and lift it slightly. Okay, count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, repeat on the left leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We go to the quadricep stretches. Okay, you need stand in a straight position and then bend your knee back by grasping your ankle with one hand, like this.
facing you and fingers pointing down, and use the other hand to gently pull back towards you. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, repeat the exercise to the left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Next, shoulder stretches. Bring your right arm in front of you at about chest height. Support your left arm with elbow crease of your right arm. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then repeat the left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Keep your shoulder relaxed and reach your fingertips down your spine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. The last stretches is head. Push your head right to the right and left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Tilt your head up and pull your head down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, finish. Breathe in. Breathe down. Breathe in. Breathe down. Breathe in. Breathe down. Okay, Alhamdulillah, we have done the cool down. So now I want to make the some position of the learning from the theory to the practical of Javelin. Student can get knowledge about the history of Javelin sports. Teacher also can practice effective ways, methods, and steps to make to students to make it easier for them to understand in Javelin throwing, so that students can show their interest in the sport of Javelin. Okay, thank you. That's all for me. Assalamualaikum.
Okay. In conclusion, after learning the right techniques and methods of performing the javelin sport, the students will be able to perform the javelin sport better. Even though the process of making the student understand the process of performing the javelin is quite tough, it is hoped that the students will understand and will achieve the learning of objectives and be more prepared and spirited in participating in javelin sport. Okay, not just that, the interesting additional activities that were prepared by the teachers is hoped to pique the students' interest in doing the javelin sport and also will be more interested in joining some sports in the future. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.